Hey everyone, welcome to the ranking. Here's my ranking of the Living Dead movies. Yes, George A. Romero in 1868 gave us the movie The Night of the Living Dead, and after that movie was a huge cultural hit. A bunch of other movies came out just like it. Some were directed by George A. Romero, some were directed by other filmmakers, some were remakes, some were reboots, and then some, but all we know is that Night of the Living Dead spawned the zombie movie. Like, if you want to know what is the most iconic zombie movie of all time, it is George A. Romero's Night of the Living Dead. And yeah, I love these zombie movies, and I thought I'd rank all of the Living Dead franchises. Yes, this franchise, some of these are sequels, prequels, remakes, and stuff, but they all take place within the same universe and stuff, and most of them are directed by George A. Romero. Most of them, at first, I was just going to do the ranking of the George A. Romero zombie movies, but I thought I'd just include them all. A few of them I'm not going to include because, to be honest, I haven't seen them. The only ones I'm going to include in this ranking is the two remakes of Night of the Living Dead and Dawn of the Dead. That's it. I haven't seen the remake of Day of the Dead because it looks just absolute awful, and I've seen enough terrible zombie movies, so pretty much I'm going to be ranking these Living Dead movies, but my own speculation of it and my own sort of bizarre ranking, because there's a lot of these movies and some of them I'm not including because I haven't seen them, so basically just the George A. Romero ones and a few extra ones added onto it. So yeah, it's a very bizarre list, but let's get to it. Here's my ranking of the Living Dead movies. Alright, coming in number 8 is the movie Survival of the Dead. Yes, George A. Romero, this is his last one, I think, and hands down the worst. This movie's a pile of garbage. I hated it. This movie came out, 2008, 2009, and it's absolutely garbage. The acting, the effects, the scares are minimal. There's no tension, there's no atmosphere, there's nothing creepy, edgy, or anything remotely good about this movie. It's forgettable, it's generic. I remember renting this movie like 6-7 years ago, and I was bored out of my mind, and it's hands down one of the worst zombie movies, the worst George A. Romero movie, and of course the worst movie out of the Living Dead franchise. Coming number 7 is Diary of the Dead. Diary of the Dead is a movie some people enjoy. I'm not one of those people. I hate this movie. This is a found footage zombie movie, and I'm not saying found footage zombie movies can't work, because Wreck was a really good movie and the sequel was fine, but zombie movies can be also found footage movies if you just know how to use it properly. Make it real, make it tension filled. This movie was just silly and ridiculous. It had terrible scares. The gore looked fake as shit. The movie looked too cheap, and it's because it's a found footage movie, and when you're watching these Living Dead movies, they're such big scaled movies, and even if they're small scaled, they're very creepy. They think real incidents are happening in front of you, like these are real people getting hunted by the Living Dead, and it's creepy and scary, and it's just done well and well executed. This movie isn't good. You're shocked to know that George A. Romero actually directed this movie, and this movie is an absolute mess. It has Nick Cannon, so nice job. Coming number 6 is the remake of Night of the Living Dead. Yes, this movie came out in 1990, and it has Tony Todd as the lead character, and honestly, that is a god-awful idea. Not Tony Todd. Tony Todd's a great actor, but remaking Night of the Living Dead. That movie's fantastic. It's a timeless movie, and it doesn't date for me, like some people call it cheesy and outdated. I personally love it. I still think the campiness, the scares, all work to this day. Making a remake of it just isn't unnecessary. Like, you can't make it like it did in the 60s. It's such an iconic film. This movie basically almost kind of does the Psycho thing, just try to remake it from shot to shot. They change a few things, but basically it's the same movie, and it just doesn't work. That's all I gotta say about it. Tony Todd tries his ass off, but the movie doesn't work. Coming number 5 is Day of the Dead. Day of the Dead, yes, this is part of the Living Dead trilogy with George A. Romero. The Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. This was always my least favorite, even though it's still really good. It's about the soldiers and stuff, and they're trapped in this, like, bunker stuff. It feels very claustrophobic, and everyone knows my favorite types of horror movies and thrillers are claustrophobic movies. I love them. And this movie does it very well. It creates eeriness, it creates tension, and it creates genuine atmosphere and scares. Unfortunately, I hate these characters. I could not stand any of these characters. They were either annoying, unlikable, douchey, or just flat out forgettable. I barely remember any of these characters, and it was a huge problem with me, but the practical effects look fantastic, and it did have genuine tension thanks to its claustrophobic feel, but I just didn't like these characters, and I didn't really like the ending either, so it was always my least favorite out of the original trilogy. It's still a good zombie movie, though. It's still a good, fun, entertaining movie to watch during the Halloween season, but definitely not the strongest zombie movie. Coming number 4 is Land of the Dead. Land of the Dead is hands down probably the most underrated out of these Dead movies. Very underrated. Yes, it's got John Leguizamo, but he's fine in it. It's a good movie. It's an interesting perspective about some of these characters. Again, very unlikable characters in this movie, but they work. The acting is good, and it's got the new special effects. There's no CGI, but it's got new practical effects, and they look good, gruesome, gory, disgusting, gritty, and it just works. I just think this movie, it works. I like the story. I like the writing. I like the pacing. And it's just a genuinely fun zombie movie. Some people disagree, but I enjoy Land of the Dead. It's fun. Coming number 3 is the remake of Dawn of the Dead. Yes, this movie came out, 2004, I think? Yeah, directed by Zack Snyder. Hands down, one of the best Zack Snyder movies. This movie is so great. Not as good as its predecessor. It's just as good, though. This movie is so much fun. I love characters going in a mall, and they're trapped by zombies. There's zombies outside the mall, and they're trying to get in and kill these people. It's great. It's a great survival movie. It's got a great idea, a great setting, great pace, great scares, and again, atmosphere and scares. And has good actors in this movie. You got Sarah Polley in this movie. Vin Rames steals every scene. He's the best character in this whole movie. Mekhi Phifer's in it, and he's fine, but Vin Rames, best character ever, and some of these characters are just there to die and stuff, and yeah, but the movie's great. It's creepy. It makes you really terrified because they're stuck in this one location. Unfortunately, its predecessor did it better, but this movie's still good. It's got that violence, that gore, and you want to know what's going to happen to these characters because there's a lot of characters, and a lot of them are interesting, funny, and enjoyable characters to watch, and it's a very good remake. Very good remake. Coming number 2 is the original Dawn of the Dead, 1978, directed by George A. Romero. This is great. Again, it's the same story about these characters in a mall trapped by zombies, but the reason this one works, one, it did it first, one, it's more scary, and it's less characters, but because it's less characters, they're more developed, more fleshed out, and you actually give a shit about these characters. It's like, I think, three characters, and they're all great. They're great characters, and they put in these like side villains, these bikers and stuff, and it's just great. And I love the practicality of the zombies, the practical gore, the silliness of the violence in this movie. It just frickin' works. And it's just downright creepy and awesome, and I love this movie. I've been watching this movie ever since I've been a kid. This and Night of the Living Dead are the zombie movies that made me fall in love with zombie movies. So, of course, this is one of my favorites of all time. And my number 1 favorite Living Dead movie is, I've mentioned it a bajillion times already in this video, and that is Night of the Living Dead. Yes, 1968's Night of the Living Dead. So freaking good. It's about people, basically, in this small town. It gets raided by zombies, and they go to this house, this farmhouse, and they're all barricading themselves, and there's zombies outside, going to kill them. It's a great movie. Just like Dawn of the Dead, it's very claustrophobic. It's a survival story. You want to know what's going to happen. It's great. It's one of the first horror movies to have an African American as the lead. He's a great actor. This movie is really tension-filled, genuinely spooky. It just feels like a Halloween movie. It feels like a great zombie movie. There's atmosphere, there's some great shots, great editing, very good practical effects, and a really great twist at the end of the movie. Won't spoil it, but it's a great twist, and it's my favorite zombie movie of all time. It's definitely one of my favorite horror movies, and it's definitely my favorite movie out of the Living Dead franchise. It's so good. So yeah, that was my ranking of all the Living Dead movies. So in the comment section below, please tell me, did you agree with this ranking? If not, give me your ranking of all the Living Dead movies. If you want to include them all, include every single one of them. All the Living Dead zombie movies. I didn't include them all, but you can. So yeah, just give me all your rankings from your least favorite to your favorite. Comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like this video, please like, subscribe to this channel, and join the dark side.